Hey everybody, welcome back to TechOdyssey. So today I'm here to talk about a recent news topic involving Blackberry, and that has to do with the sale of some patents to Huawei. And I wasn't necessarily going to make a video about it. I saw it, it piqued my curiosity. I of course clicked on the article and I read about it because it was on the headlines. Blackberry sells IP. Blackberry sells patents to Huawei. And it's kind of a no-brainer. Pretty much everybody thinks that's probably a bad thing, especially because of the status that Huawei has now in the national or the international community because of shenanigans. And I'm not going to dive too far into that, but I do want to talk about this. Is it important? Is there any relevant meaning? Is there any impact to BlackBerry or the security world because of these transfer of this property to them? But before we get into that, I do want to say if this is your first time stopping by the channel, I appreciate you being here. If you enjoy the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. Let's talk about this intellectual property fiasco. So like I was saying, BlackBerry sold, it looks like 90 different patents to Huawei. And yes, that I think there is some significance in this, but I don't think it's in the way that people are concerned about it. See, BlackBerry exited the handset business in 2016. If you look at the articles and you read more into it, because it's very catchy, the eye candy, the curb appeal, the window shopping value on this article, it catches headlines because you have one, BlackBerry, who's like the master of all things security, selling smartphone patents to Huawei, who is like, in some circles, the enemy of security, especially if you live in the United States or the free world. And this is particularly troubling when you read a headline like that. That would be like if somebody drafted a headline that says, United States sells weapons to Iran. It would not look good. It's something that people would click on and like, wow, okay, this is troublesome. And then you look at it and go, okay, it's 90 patents. I was reading, and it looks like BlackBerry has about 38,000 patents. So, one, this is not substantial at all. And also what I was reading is it looks like the bulk of them, or at least a good chunk of them, were from 2006 to 2009 or 2007 to 2009. We're talking well over 10 years ago. This is not something that involves 5G. BlackBerry was never involved in 5G. Their phone stopped at LTE, so we're not looking at future communications technology. What we're looking at here is stuff that's related to, I think, more like along the operating system and sending messages or sending out information or group messages to a large bunch of devices, things like that. The reason I think this is relevant is because Huawei cannot get Google services. They lost that because they're blacklisted by the United States. They cannot give them Google services. They can't provide that. And I don't even know if they can get the newest version of Android. It's been well known that Huawei was trying to invent or create their own operating system, which I don't blame them. At their core, they're still a business. They need to be able to do business things, and they make phones. They're one of the largest smartphone makers in the world, and there have been a lot of consequences because of the international pressure and criticism of the way they do business, or at least their connections to the Chinese government, which, whenever you look at what's happening with the infrastructure for 5G, and they were on these contracts and got removed from them, and now Ericsson, Nokia, other ones like that are picking them up. But either way, it's very troubling when you see something that says, oh, BlackBerry sold patents. Well, here's the thing. And I had a bunch of comments. Like, I had BlackBerry comments in unrelated videos, which is fine. I know that a lot of my BlackBerry fans and subscribers watch my other videos, and I greatly appreciate that. But it's like popping up in an earbud video, people asking me what my thoughts are on the patent issue because BlackBerry sold them. Or people were telling me what they thought the implications were, or trying to infer things regarding the security or the future of BlackBerry because of that. BlackBerry has made it well known they're exiting the smartphone business. They have transitioned to a security and services software company. That's why they have this licensing agreement with Onward Mobility. That's why they had it before with TCL and BlackBerry Mobile. So they don't need these patents anymore. And I think the only thing that this is really telling for is, one, there's not a big likelihood that any time in the near future they're going to be picking up the mantle and making their own phones again. Or at least not their own operating system. These may be even related to BBOS 7, legacy operating system a long time ago. This even predates BlackBerry 10. So I think that the reason that Huawei wanted these is because they needed or wanted to learn or have some of these methods, services, whatever the IP, intellectual property behind this was, so that they could integrate it into their own operating system. That's my guess. Because they're kind of out on their own. Like, they make their own chips, they make their own phones, they kind of have to make their own operating system now, because they've been using Android without the Google services, without the Google Play Store. I guess you would have to get the APKs and install them or whatever. I don't know. I'm not that well versed in it. But what I can say definitively is, well, not definitively, I don't know 1,000% for sure, but here's the thing. These patents were not anything that needed approval from Canada to sell. So that means they're not of national critical infrastructure level. They're not security concerns, and also a lot of these places have migrated away. They're not using BlackBerry Enterprise Server anymore. They're not using BES. They're not using Blackberries. They've moved on to Androids and iPhones. So I don't think this is a particular threat to national security. If it was, then Canada would not have let them sell it. They didn't even need to get approval for this. It was not even of that caliber. So these are probably low-hanging fruit patents. One, from what I read, it seems like it deals particularly with the smartphone stuff. And I think it's just stuff that they needed, they being Huawei, so that they can make their own phones or operating system better. So I think this is fine. I really don't think it's a big deal, and I don't think it's taking away from the treasure trove of patents that BlackBerry has. I think they're one of the number one, I know they were the number one patent holder, I believe, in Canada for a long time, and they're still on, I think, the top 10 list of most patents and intellectual property in Canada. So they're still very well rounded. They've got a robust treasure trove of intellectual property up there in Waterloo. So don't worry about this. And also, moving forward, if they had any ambitions of trying to pass these on to their licensees, the people who are making their phones, or if they decided that one day they wanted to make phones again, if these are 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, how relevant are they to current technology? One. Two, is it something that would keep them from being able to do it? Probably not. And three, is it something that's going to hurt them? I don't think so. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't have sold it. So I wouldn't read too deep into this. Don't get too wrapped around the axle over the headlines. And none of these are supposed to be security-related IP patents anyway. And here's the thing. BlackBerry's making a new phone through the licensing agreement with All Mobility. They're trying to be still and position themselves as being the most secure phone in the world. They want to be the most secure smartphone that there is. They're not going to sell patents that are going to undercut that and keep them from being able to do that to make a couple extra bucks. And here's the thing. BlackBerry has transitioned to a services and software and security company. They're not making nearly the amount of money that they were a long time ago when they were big and huge and making phones and had all these BlackBerry Enterprise servers all over the place. So now they make a lot less money than they used to. So they need to find creative ways to bring up extra capital. If you've got some extra patents sitting around, they're just going to devalue more over time. So it was probably a really smart business decision to sell a couple of those off, make some money, and infuse the capital. Right now is a good time. Their stock has been doing great. They've been making some good moves here in the software and security world. So I think that BlackBerry is going to be fine moving forward. I think this is a non-starter. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. At least that's my impression. That's my takeaway from this with my understanding of intellectual property, patents, and what it looks like they did here. I'm just thinking that's what they sold it to them for. They needed some money. They wanted to get rid of some low-hanging fruit they didn't need. Huawei needs this stuff so that they can make their phones better so they're actually usable. So I'm sure it's fine in the long run. Not overly worried about it. And I just wanted to make this video to tell y'all my 2 cents on it so that way you could at least have a little bit better understanding of what's going on. And they sold 90. And a lot of them, at least from what I was reading, are at least 10 years old. So no worries there. And that's pretty much it for this video. So if you have any questions or comments or want to talk about any of this stuff, please feel free to go down in the comment section and leave it there, and I will get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.